Lev Trubkovich, Russian Television International. Dr. Haass, you were just discussing your strategic worldview. Where is Russia in all of that? And do you see Russia's relationship with the United States trending positively or negatively in the coming years?
Russia is one of the medium-sized powers in this post-Cold War world. It's a country of 143 million people. It's obviously got a sizable nuclear arsenal, a seat on the UN Security Council. Like a lot of other countries, it's one of the reasons that foreign policy is so hard, and one of the reasons I think we do need more a framework for it. Russia's neither friend nor foe. On some issues, Russia's been extraordinarily helpful for the United States in certain things against terrorism, certain things in Afghanistan. On other issues, Russia's been extraordinarily unhelpful vis-a-vis American foreign policy aims. And I actually think that's typical of a lot of countries. It's harder and harder to categorize countries in the way they work. I think Russia's got its hands full internally in terms of its own political trajectory at home. Indeed, I think that's the biggest challenge facing Russia, along with developing an economy that's not so reliant on oil and gas. But no, I don't see Russia as being one of the principal partners of the United States. It's not an anti-Russian comment. It's simply a commentary on Russia's, again, its internal challenges and its place in the world. And I think the real issue for Russia will be political. I think this leadership has consolidated power, and so it's an oligopoly economically and politically. And at some point, I expect it will be challenged domestically, and we'll see how that plays out. But I think for the United States and Russia, the goal is to figure out a way of cooperating where we can and not letting the areas where we can't cooperate spill over and undermining the relationship.
Let me follow up on that. When you look at the challenges that Russia is putting up to our current foreign policy in Syria, in Iran, perhaps even in North Korea, is that about their specific interests in those countries, in that region, or is that about countering the United States?
A bit of both. I think Russia has a little bit of a spoiler mentality, that the way it gets attention in the world is in some ways standing up to the United States. I think this leadership at times in Russia defines itself in those terms. Nationalism is one of the ways the Russian leadership derives popular support. I also think there is something of the politics of resentment. I mean, to be perfectly blunt, or at the same level, even understanding of the Russians, this has been a very rough era of history. The last 25 years have been extraordinarily difficult for Russia. The Soviet Union lost an enormous part of its territory. You now have NATO enlarged up against it. You've seen the population go down significantly. So, I think the leadership of Russia, to some extent, has tapped into this resentment and unhappiness. So I see some of the reactions to what the United States does is simply reflexive. This is kind of how Russia defines itself. To some extent, you find specific economic or strategic rationales for what Russia does. It's probably a mixture of the two.